Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, but Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 201, Broken. It feels nice to start that with a 2, I'll be honest.
It really does.
This episode aired on September 30th, 2012. It was written by the showrunners Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz, and it was directed by Ralph Hamaker. So before we get into our recapping and chatting and chaos, and this is going to be fun, let's go into a synopsis for the episode. In Storybrooke, magic is back in Storybrooke, and everyone has their memories. However, their happy reunions are cut short when a mob goes after Regina. Henry begs his new family to save her, because despite it all, she's still his mother. Rumple promises Belle that he will not kill Regina to avenge the harm the Queen caused Belle. Instead, he brands her with the Wraith's mark so that it will do the job for him. In keeping their promise, Emma, Snow, and Charming help Regina banish the Wraith, using Jefferson's hat to a land where it can't hurt anyone, until Emma gets caught up in the portal and falls through with Snow jumping in after her daughter. And in the Enchanted Forest, finally able to save his princess, Philip wakes Aurora from her sleeping curse with true love's kiss and some help from his travel companion, Mulan. Now that she's awake, they must travel to their safe haven, but are sidetracked when Philip is marked by a wraith. He knows they will never be safe as long as it hunts him, and sacrifices himself so that they can move on. That is until Mulan and Aurora discover who came along through the portal with the wraith, Snow White and Emma. So this is the very first time, because you notice I flipped the way that we normally have the synopsis. It's usually the Enchanted Forest first. But technically, everything that happens in the Enchanted Forest happens after the Storybrooke stuff, because this is the Enchanted Forest right now. There's no flashback. There's nothing for me to add to the timeline.
Which is so confusing because then so they're not the people that were in the Enchanted Forest, they're not cursed? Are they somewhere else?
The entire realm was not ravaged. There was a sector of the Enchanted Forest that was saved for soon to be revealed reasons.
Okay, other people can't see, but I'm really excited. I'm like, great, now there's not like as much of a timeline that I have to be like, wait a minute, this happened here and that happened there. Like, it's not as bad.
In this episode, no. In upcoming episodes,
no.
there's not no flashbacks. We're not like in the next episode is gonna be half flashbacks, half current timeline stuff. Basically, I think I know for a fact I told you in the episode for Desperate Souls, because that's the one that came out today, so I listened to it. I told you season 2 is gonna come with a flowchart.
Oh, you did.
Because for this first half of the season, we really have 3 timelines we're keeping track of. The flashback Enchanted Forest, now the current Enchanted Forest, and Storybrooke. So I don't...
Okay.
Off the top of my head, I don't know if there's an episode that has all 3 in one. Not off the top of my head. Actually, that's a lie. Never mind. There are, but that's like the last episode of the arc. But most of the time we're gonna see like just the Enchanted Forest past with just Enchanted Forest present, or Enchanted Forest past with Storybrooke, or just present everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna have all 3 timelines going all at once. So it's gonna be I can't say it's not gonna be confusing, but I will help you.
I feel like I need to start working on some graphics of just the timeline from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But then we can start making the flowchart.
The flowchart.
The flowchart. And so I feel like we need to make these things like visual, like not just for me, but like make them and hopefully post them. So my concern is I'll have to post and run. Because if any Once fans comes in, I'm screwed.
Yeah, this is true.
Because not everybody's going to know, hey, this one can't have spoilers. Not everyone's going to know that.
Yeah, not everyone knows. Well, I do try and monitor our TikTok comment section as best I can, because people do come in and do start saying things. I'm like, is that a spoiler that she shouldn't see? Is that really a spoiler at all? I don't really know. Sometimes I delete things, sometimes I don't.
And like, I can't really stay on our Instagram very much sometimes, because I'll post something and then something will post up, like just post up on our feed for Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, bye, have to leave. So it's really, I can't engage as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be spoiled. And it really sucks, because then like your videos for your TikTok will come up and I'm like, bye, Lauren.
Bye.
I'm sorry. I'll see you later. So my first note for this one, though, just is, well, this is different.
The cold open that made everyone think they turned on the wrong show by accident.
Yeah, I was sitting there and I'm like, I know this is Once Upon a Time. I clicked Once Upon a Time. I'm really excited. I know for a fact this is the show I'm watching. What's happening? I was like, who the hell is this?
A new stranger has entered the chat. It's...
But I still don't know what happened to Pinocchio.
No, you still don't know what happened to Pinocchio, because I don't think we see him in this one. I think we see him in We Are Both, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. But, it's been a while. To be fair, it's been a while since I watched the episode for this, because normally I watch it within the week, but we had some rescheduling going on, so I watched this over a week ago. Mm-hmm. But also we're talking about like this aired 12 years ago. Oh, dude, I hate that so much.
Oh my.
But yeah. So weirdly enough, though, so we have an episode called Manhattan later on in the season. I brought that up before.
Yes.
So
I see it. 14.
Yes, 214. So this man, obviously, he comes back. He's not gonna like. He got a Storybrooke postcard at the end, so he's connected somehow. He lives in New York City. The cold open, they actually did film this in New York City, although I did write down they have him filming in vastly different areas that don't make a lot of sense. Like, again, I know this because I know New York City. Having him get on a subway he was walking along Fifth Avenue, so to get on the Fifth Avenue subway, that was good, but he was on Riverside Drive and then he was on Fifth Avenue and they're not anywhere near each other. That's another thing. But I have a rant that I'll go into probably greater depth when we get to the episode Manhattan, because this is filmed in New York City. Manhattan is filmed in Vancouver. Because there's more of it in the city, and like the areas. I don't know. I love the fact that the episode named Manhattan is not filmed in Manhattan, because they're in the city for a couple of episodes. I think they only film in New York City, I think, a total of three times.
But aren't they near Boston?
Yes, but this man lives in New York City.
Okay, this man's different. Won't get too confused.
No, I know. But the episode, at least the episode aptly named New York City Serenade, that's one of the three that's filmed in New York. But
okay.
So the facade, weirdly enough, the facade that the building that they use as the exterior for his apartment, the address was on the wiki. It's literally half a block from a cafe that I go to all the time.
Oh, that's adorable.
Because I was like, this looks familiar, and I looked up the address. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where this is. It's in the Little Italy Soho kind of area. I'll go on a rant about this later, about their use of certain landmarks when they're in Vancouver when we get to Manhattan. But they use just trust me, they use landmarks that don't make a lot of sense for him being in Soho. I'm okay with that. Landmarks he runs past, not so much.
I'm just telling myself all these things is what I know of Atlanta, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
Because you have so many different things with Atlanta, and I'm like, not much of what you're saying makes sense for New York, because I've never been there, but I'm going to use that knowledge together and just hope I have it right. Because I looked up the population of my little town recently, and dude, we don't even have like 8,000 people here. So completely different world. Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, but
no, that's fair. It's not everyone's favorite. I like that. Honestly, I like that movie. I think maybe it's a Maleficent thing, but
I think it's a Maleficent thing because I like Maleficent. I don't like Sleeping Beauty.
I think you're gonna like Aurora. I think you are. I think she's.
I feel like, where have I seen her before? Please tell me you have that.
Funny you should ask. I do have her IMDb linked because I'm gonna
I'm hoping I'm right.
The thing that I wrote down for her, she was in a couple of episodes of Agent Carter, and she was in 23 episodes of The Tudors as Mary Tudor.
Yes, I was right.
Okay.
Yes, okay. I was like, that's Mary.
I
love The Tudors.
Ironically, she acted opposite an actor who will come in 3 episodes in The Tudors.
Wait, who?
Mr. Colin O'Donoghue.
No!
He was in 1 episode.
He was. I loved The Tudors. I devoured that. I still like to watch it from time to time. And I can admit that it is because of Anne Boleyn. And that is like the only reason.
100% because of Natalie Dormer.
What is her name? Oh, thank you, Natalie Dormer.
Why else would anyone watch that show?
Natalie Dormer is the only reason.
My opinion.
Man, I'm going to have to go on another Tudor binge now because
I love that you. I love that you asked me. Please tell me you have her IMDb. Like, of course I have her IMDb. Like, because, like, to be fair, I guess if she wasn't gonna be pertinent, I wouldn't have it. But, like,
in my defense, we usually Google something.
That's true. We do usually Google something. But, like, when there's a pertinent guest star, I do bring in their IMDb, and I also have Mulan's IMDb for when we talk about her later.
So I know she was on Disney, like Disney Channel for stuff.
Yeah,
she looked familiar from Camp Rock because that's my era of Disney.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that I have for her was voiceover work. She's done a lot of stuff for DC. She's done a lot of stuff for Disney. She's the voice of Go-Go from Big Hero 6.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. We love Big Hero 6 in this
That's
house.
Jamie Chung, by the way. I didn't say her name.
Oh, yeah. We should probably say names here.
Oh, yeah. Also, Aurora is Sarah Bolger, who's Irish, by the way, apparently.
Yes.
I did not know that.
I knew that. Her character in The Tudors makes me angry sometimes.
Yeah, because like I always knew her accent sounded a little off. I just figured she was Canadian.
It's always the Canadians.
It is always the Canadians, but she's not Canadian. She's Irish.
I have this lovely line that's next that I'm trying to decipher because, as Lauren said, we had to reschedule some things. I blame, COVID. Yeah. But it just says, "We don't tell her everything. Excuse me," in all caps, and I'm like, "Is this when he was This is when he was rescuing."
Yeah,
Aurora,
that's when
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right after they woke her up, and like after we had the reveal of Mulan. Or no, it's not. That was immediate. There was no reveal. Sorry, that was immediately.
No,
that was like the first lines of the episode.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean we don't tell her everything? What are you not telling her?"
The land is ravaged, and there's ogres everywhere, and other stuff.
And I did have my "Where do I know this actress from?" And then all caps, "Oh my God, she was in The Tudors." And then I'm just like, "Oh, we're immediately where we left off." Like, I love when shows do that. Like, we are right exactly where we left off. There's been no time, nothing. Like, we're right here.
It's great. It's great visually. Apparently, filming it was a nightmare.
I bet. Like, that's a point that I'm like, I feel like finales and like the previews, first episode and last episode of like previous seasons, like just do them together so that way everything's cohesive.
I know, so everything's connected. Because in the case of this, and I have some, because this was one that had audio commentary, so I have some of Ginnifer Goodwin's commentary notes on this exact thing. Because they filmed the finale like March something of that year, and then they filmed the premiere like late July. The weather is very different. It was very, very sunny. They literally had like, if like the faraway shots look different than the ones that are close because they had shades over them so they could actually look at each other because it was too bright. But also just throughout the episode, Ginny just sheds layers because she's all bundled up for it to be like warm for it to be like cold in March. But throughout the episode, it's sunny, it's boiling. She's taking. I note down. Okay, there go the gloves. Oh, there goes the jacket is open. Oh, no more jacket. Now we have a scarf. So
they can't handle that anymore.
No, it's too warm. But apparently she was regretting it because she realized that she had to be wearing the same costume for the next 9 episodes once they realized what the arc was going to be. So I have more about that later, though.
Oh no! Oh no! That's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck for her.
This has to be so weird for Emma. Like, it's so weird for her because she's sitting here and she's just like, "These are my parents, and my parents are expecting this wonderful, sweet fairy tale reunion," and for her, it's just like, "This is weird.
It's weird,
man.
It's a little weird." It's very well encapsulated in that conversation. I know you've been saying like for so much that you wanted that conversation of like them realizing they talked about one night stands, which is why I said I'm like, I think you've seen the video of me doing the bad impression voiceover of this scene because you say you want it, but I know that I've done this voiceover.
It's got to be subconsciously or something. I don't remember it,
which is fine.
But we both remember. We all know. Everybody knows now. Katie has the memory of a squirrel.
Like I'm sure that it was subconscious. Like I'm like you've heard it. It's like 'cause I posted it months ago. I think.
We've been friends for so long too.
That too.
Like I'm now realizing we've been friends for over a year now.
Yeah, definitely.
So, hey, we made.
I would say
it's anniversary, friend. I don't know when.
No idea when. I would say it's got to be close to 2 at this point. I want to say because like we were friends for a while when we started the podcast.
Yeah, I can't remember how long. When did we meet?
I have
no idea.
I have no idea anymore. But like that scene though, it perfectly encapsulates Emma's been alone her entire life, but also like they're trying to reconcile the relationship. I just love that it starts though with him just going, just like, "Don't push it, Snow. I won't." And then just immediately he's just like, "You guys ready? We need to talk. I don't want to talk. Well, I do. Okay, Gold can wait. I can't. I mean, you're my daughter, and I want to talk to you. I know that we have talked, but we didn't know that we were talking. We talked about things we probably shouldn't have even talked about. One night stands and like one night stands. Well, we were cursed. That is neither here nor there. The point is, we did not know that we were mother and daughter, and now we do. And so please, let's talk. Okay, what do you want to talk about? We're together, finally. And I can't help but think you're not happy about it. Oh, I am. It's just, well, here's the thing. No matter what the circumstances, for 28 years, I only knew one thing, that my parents sent me away. We did that to give you your best chance. You did it for everyone, because that's who you are, leaders and heroes and princes and princesses, and that's great and amazing and wonderful, but it doesn't change the fact that for my entire life, I've been alone. But if we hadn't sent you away, you would have been cursed too. But we would have been together. Which curse is worse? To be fair, we don't know what would have happened had Emma been under the curse as a child. We truthfully don't know what could have happened there. But because there's no story if that happens. But it does. It has the we were cursed is the once upon a time equivalent to we were on a break.
Yeah,
it very much is.
That's where my brain went. I was kind of sitting there going through that. Of course, I laughed at the "we were cursed." That's in all caps in the notes.
We were cursed. That is neither here nor there.
Because the look on his face of like, wait a minute, what? But then I wanted to be like, dude, you had a wife? You had a whole wife. Why are you getting on?
Charming gets a little bit of revenge on Whale. Just saying.
Oh, okay. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But like that was so sad for Emma because she's just like, which curse is worse? And for her, yeah, it is. She was separated from her parents. That's really shitty. So,
she spent 28 years thinking that no one wanted her, that she was left on the side of a highway. Like, that's a fair response. Is you can't just tell me I have this happy family now after 28 years. Like, I'm sorry.
Like, Snow, yeah.
We don't flip the switch that quickly.
Exactly. Snow can't expect Emma to just be like, oh, you're my mom. Let's have this happy-go-lucky relationship. No, like, she's been alone for... Yeah. Almost 30 years. That's not a, hey, we're family. Like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, and they did have that friendship to begin with. So there's also, like, that's something I will say is, like, Emma and Snow are going to have a harder time reconciling the relationship because they have that friendship to build off of. Emma and Charming, not so much. They don't have something that they have to kind of work past of, like, oh, crap, we did talk about one-night stands and other things that parents and children shouldn't talk about. I always felt like Charming was better equipped to be the type of parent she needs, because I always feel like Snow's gonna for a while Snow's gonna try and kind of parent her like she's still a child, because to her memory the last moment she had was giving birth to her. And Charming, I think because Charming has that time with Henry, he like in between now and when they do eventually come back, because I mean that's not a spoiler, they'll come back, there's no story if they don't, but I think he has some time to kind of reconcile that this is a child, but that's not what Emma's going to end up needing. So I think he's going to have an easier time kind of reconciling the relationship.
Speaking of Henry. Grandpa.
Yeah, that's never not going to be funny.
It's so funny. Because he just looks at Charming, Grandpa? And I'm like, oh God.
He calls him Gramps a lot.
I love it so much. I always have a note in all caps that says, yeah, Leroy, because, you know, Leroy being Leroy.
Yep.
Because I'm sure it was very much the, like, let's go watch people destroy Regina. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Because then Leroy goes, let's watch. And I'm like, yes.
Dude. But this goes into, like, what I said in 121 with the dream that, I mean, I know it's a manifestation of Regina's fears that she imagines if given the choice that they're all going to kill her, Henry's going to say, like, you did this to yourself, it's your own fault. But we see that Henry actually is like, she's still my mom. Like, how about we don't kill her?
That's my next note, because I'm just like, oh my goodness, poor Henry. Like, even though everything that she's done, he ate the turnover, all the things, it's all confirmed.
Yep.
And it's still like, Henry's like, that's still my mom. This is still the woman that raised me.
Yep.
Which is so interesting, watching that dynamic at the same time as Snow and Emma. Like, it's very interesting, and I'm just like, I don't know how to feel about this right now. And my favorite note I think that I took is, or one of my favorites, because we have by panic later, is just Pinky and the Brain at it again.
Yeah. But like more so, like I have so many problems. This is where my thing with Rumpelstiltskin really comes into play. Like in season 1, he's not quite as like going back on his word, using semantics and stuff. I'm sorry, saying but he admits this is what he does because this is her line of you toy with words the way you toy with people. I will not kill her is not negated when you send the wraith after her.
Exactly.
It's not how that works.
The whole time I was like, I had that moment of like, yes, Belle, leave. You know,
and she comes back.
And then at the end, she comes back, and I just haven't, like, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, Belle, what are you doing? What are you doing? No. Get away from the creepy man. And she doesn't listen because I'm speaking to the screen. That was filmed 12 years ago.
Exactly. It's that line of, like, when he says, like, this is why you have to go because despite what you hope, I'm not the man you think I am. And she goes, don't you see that's exactly why I have to stay? And I'm like, honey, no. This is clearly written by a man.
That's Stockholm Syndrome.
This is clearly written by a man. This is why I say I can see I based off of just Skin Deep, I would ship Rumbell. Based off of the rest of the show, no, not happening.
I enjoy Skin Deep because it is a good retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
It's a good episode.
I enjoy that retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It is so much better than other retellings of Beauty and the Beast I have consumed in my life. Because you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And I probably shouldn't say it. I don't want to get attacked. So, but I love my other note. I have to go into this. I have to. You understand me in Beauty and the Beast, and anybody who has listened to over 40 episodes of us talking about this know I love Beauty and the Beast. So we're good. Just like you and Snow White and Maleficent. Yeah.
We know these things.
But I just wrote, this is what Lauren meant about portals.
Portals are hard to come by unless the plot dictates otherwise.
I'm just sitting here.
It's like, only going to get worse.
Why is there a portal?
It's only going to get worse from here. The fact, this is something that I did write down in my notes. I choose to believe that Regina truthfully did think that the entire Enchanted Forest was obliterated. I don't see that as her lying.
Okay, because I did write that. I was like, "Ooh, Regina's lying again?"
I said the thing is, I don't know, because also the thing of her going, "Who's Jefferson?" makes no sense.
Yeah, why did she do that?
People have speculated it's because the wraith sucked out part of her memory, but we never get a clarification on that. If someone has something from the writers explaining that, please tell me. But I do truthfully believe, because especially with what goes on in the next episode, with Regina and talking about other things, I do truthfully believe that she thought that the Enchanted Forest was obliterated because she didn't create the curse. She just used it. She could manipulate it to do certain things, like to have people, punished in certain ways, but she didn't create the curse. She doesn't necessarily know what it's supposed to do. So, but to be fair, there's no way of knowing if it was supposed to obliterate the land. We don't really know. Maybe it wasn't because this one section got saved, therefore the whole land is still there. It's a whole lot of we don't know. It's all speculation.
Okay. I don't think she's forgotten who Jefferson is, though.
Yeah, that part didn't make any sense. That one is just weird writing.
Like, why would she not admit to knowing Jefferson to Emma at this point?
At this point, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, my actual favorite line my favorite note that I wrote is, we don't need Philip.
We don't need Philip. Philip is unnecessary, and I do not believe we see him again this season. No, we'll see him once. Sorry, no, we see him. My bad. We see him one more time in 211. Yeah,
that's okay.
Once. Yeah, that's it.
But like, once Philip was out of the picture, and I was like, we can stick with Aurora and Mulan. This is the story I'd love to read.
Sleeping Warrior makes so much more sense.
That's how it is called.
Sleeping Warrior.
I now like something other than just Spoon Queen.
I think there's at least one more ship coming this season that you are really gonna like.
I'm really excited to find out.
Should I tell you what the name is?
Is it gonna give it away?
You'll know what it is, but like it's not like, I mean, it's not it's not a real ship. Red Beauty. I
think I found your clip.
It makes so much more sense.
Ooh.
It works.
Why did they write that?
In my opinion, that works as such a better Beauty and the Beast retelling than Rumble, personally.
But those two beautiful individuals together
soon
makes,
soon they will interact, and you'll get to see them in all their beautiful glory. Because, believe it or not, despite the fact that she's barely in this episode, Megan Ori is now main cast.
Okay, so remember how I was talking about how I've read horrible Beauty and the Beast retellings? I need this Beauty and the Beast retelling, please.
Sadly, it only exists in fan fiction.
Fuck, I have to read fan fiction.
Oh, well.
I need this.
Oops.
Oh no, Lauren, I need you to write me a story.
Not anywhere that anyone could read it. I wrote it again on the RP fandom. I don't think I wrote it in anything that I published.
No, for just when you feel like it.
Sure.
I will say I've read some of Lauren's actual work, not fan fiction. I don't mean that in a mean way. That's just your own work.
Stuff that is meant to be commercially published.
Exactly. Thank you. I am terrible at talking. And yet we have a podcast. And Lauren is a phenomenal writer, especially just I can't form words because your writing has made me feel things. It's hard to say.
Just wait until you read Say It Out Loud.
I am so excited. But no, so yeah, that's why I'm like, ooh, Lauren, write this, because I have read plenty of Lauren's amazing sapphic stories, and Lauren, you could do this justice. Just saying.
I'm just also going to say It Out Loud has some elements of a Beauty and the Beast story.
How does Emma have magic?
She's the savior. Their reasoning behind it, because again, the reasoning behind it doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. It's because she's the product of true love, but this is a universe where people tend to seek out true love, so therefore a lot of people are the product of true love.
That's like fairy tale 101.
Exactly. She's the savior tied to this curse, so she kind of does have magic. I did write down Swan Queen, gals being pals, making the hat work.
It's like Regina and Emma touched. Swan Queen.
Magic. Magic. But this is my interpretation of how people have magic, because it's implied that it's hereditary, but and sometimes it's willy-nilly. If you're not the Dark One or a fairy, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My interpretation, take it or leave it, and this is entirely interpretation, so people are free to disagree with me because I have no proof, is that if you are born in a land that inherently has magic to it, so a realm of story that inherently has magic to it, because not every realm of story does inherently have magic, then you have the capacity to wield magic. You just need the right spark. That's my interpretation of it, and then it seems hereditary because people who grow up with a parent who is a magic user have a leg up on that. They have someone trying to ignite the magic. So that's my theory. There's no proof. It is what it is. She's the savior. Saviors have magic. That's about all I got from the show. Because the savior is a role. The savior is not necessarily a person. Savior is a role for each individual story. There are other saviors in other realms. That's all I'm saying. That plot point was stupid. Personally, I thought that there are lots of saviors. That plot point was kind of pointless. That's from season 6. But
what do the saviors do after they save? Like, is there a group that the saviors get together on Sundays? I don't know.
What happens when the savior is done saving? That is quite literally the plot of season 6.
Either I am just picking up very easily on what the writers were trying to do with this, or I'm just smart.
It's not a bad thing. As I feel like the shows need to be... I think it was Sophie that said this to me. Like, stories need to be predictable to an extent, because that way they feel satisfying.
Well, I would like to meet the person that figured out Henry's father in season 1, because I still haven't figured it out.
I don't know.
Don't make that face.
I will make any face I want.
Because I know you told me that if I figured it out, you would confirm or deny or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, no fucking clue. Nope.
I think by episode 6, by Tallahassee, I think all the pieces are there. So I might ask you when we record, after you watch and we record Tallahassee. If not, you'll find out in episode 14.
That's so far away. Wait, I mean, it's not the dude from New York.
Did I say that?
Is it? Wait.
But you don't know who he is, though.
I don't know who he is the problem, but then how did someone figure that out? If that is Henry's father, then how would someone figure that out so far ahead of time?
I think the hint says, so the man in the opening, his name is Neil Cassidy.
Okay.
His name is Neil Cassidy.
Thank you.
His
people have names.
his name is not a spoiler. Personally, I do think that the evidence is all there in hindsight.
Okay. So like once it clicks, I'll maybe see it?
You might, yeah. I think the evidence is there in hindsight. But I didn't figure it out after just that one opening scene. But
wait, was I right?
Well, did the man...
I'm so confused. That's not Henry's father.
I didn't say that.
I'm so confused. I'm like, maybe that's Henry's father.
I live to confuse you.
Thanks for the confirmation. I have no idea what's happening.
There's no confirmation there.
Never.
No.
All right, I'll just suffer in semi-silence because I'll have to complain a little bit as I go. But
of course,
that's my guess right now is that New York man, Neil, is that what his name was?
His name is Neil.
It's Henry's father.
Okay,
and it's a complete guess because he's new to the picture.
What
was that last thing I guessed or whatever? Oh, whenever we found out what's his face was Pinocchio, that was completely a guess. I had no idea. I was just like, it'd be funny if he was Pinocchio. You know what? Manhattan, man. It'd be funny if he
you'll find out.
What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
You pulled me into this.
I did. This is fair.
So this is actually your creation and your fault.
You know, I blame myself.
Yeah, you should.
It's fine. Do you have any other notes for me?
My last notes are just, Belle, what are you doing? For obvious reasons that we discussed. Yeah. And just my last note is in all caps because that's how I express when I'm like, what the is, what? What?
They're in the Enchanted Forest.
What? How?
Apparently, the idea to do a take where Snow is still holding on to Emma's jacket, like so to kind of symbolize that she will just never let go of her, was Ginny's idea.
Nice.
I love when like that's the take that they end up going with.
Yeah. But yeah, so
the Enchanted Forest is still
episode.
There. Yeah, is good.
Episode.
My notes and fun facts have so I have my notes, I have the fun facts, and I have the commentary notes, which we'll try and intersplice them. So this episode isn't 3 hours long. We'll try. We'll try. But we were saying before about them filming, you know, the finale, and then the scenes are one right after the other, which again is why people tend to forget that the show, while like with the first 6 seasons, while it's 6 years, it's 6 seasons of our time. It's not 6 seasons. It's not 6 years in Once Upon a time, because I think almost all of their seasons start where the last one left off, like immediately, like the next moment.
I love that.
So like it's 6 seasons. I think it's maybe 3 years in total if we do the math correctly. But they actually didn't film this first. They had to work around a different actor schedule. I think I know what actor specific. I think I know. Like I'm like I'm not sure yet. But they filmed 2 and bits of 3 first, and then they filmed 1.
So what's the bet on if it was the scheduling due to a Marvel movie?
It was not due. I do not believe it has to do with...
I make that joke because this was just the time of so many Marvel movies and many people had to work around Marvel's schedule.
No, like, I know. He's in... Is he in 202? He's in... I did tell you, Jefferson does come back in this part of the season. My guess is it's a different actor than Sebastian Stan. That's my guess. I could be wrong. They didn't say
because
who.
He's not in the season 2 a ton.
He's not in enough that I would see them flipping around entire episode schedules. I could see them filming his scenes.
Yeah,
but
Bucky's a big role, but it's early Bucky.
Yeah, so. It's either him or it's somebody else.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, is very vague.
Very vague.
But they were talking about how it was like hard to kind of like go back in the character development to kind of go back to the finale. But when I get to the commentary notes, I'll talk about that. One of my other main notes is I did some digging into wraiths and their version of the wraith and all of that. Apparently, the symbol that's on the amulet is an alchemy symbol for arsenic, apparently.
Interesting.
Which I think is cool. Wraith is another word for ghost. A wraith is an omen of death that originates from Scottish folklore, where a wraith was the apparition of a living person, usually taken as an omen of their death, but not always. If a wraith of a person was seen early in the morning, it forebode that they would live until old age, and if a wraith was seen in the evening, it indicated that their imminent death was at hand. The fact that they had Mulan call it a Kui Shen, I looked it up out of idle curiosity. I could find no reference to wraiths under this name in any kind of Eastern folklore.
What did it mean in Eastern?
I couldn't find any kind of this kind of omen. Basically, when I did my Googling, I found no linguistical or etymological history behind this term for this type of character. When I did a quick Google search, all I got was the Once Upon a Time wiki. So the words Kui and Shen, so Kui meaning life force and Shen coming from broken. So like broken, so death.
Is it
omen.
Mandarin?
It didn't tell me what dialect that was.
Okay.
Either way, it's not technically from Chinese folklore. They kind of just slapped together two Chinese words and renamed the character. Which is really not culturally sensitive.
It makes me think of when people get like Chinese tattoos.
Uh-huh.
That's how this feels.
Like they took the words that mean the thing and they just had Mulan say that that's what it is in her land, and I'm like, okay. Good for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Good for you. So something that I had forgotten about was the courtroom set where they do all of this, like with the hat and the wraith and all that. And I was like, this looks like a new set. I'm like, I couldn't remember if it was, and Ginny did say in the commentary, oh look, they built a set so we could burn it down. Because we do see it in the next episode, so it makes sense that they filmed 202 first, because in 201 they burned it down. And apparently, we're just going through all the notes. Apparently, they filmed like just that one scene with the wraith in the courtroom to get it in. That was one entire day of just that scene, which is very abnormal. Because it's like normally they said like you're going to film like 5 to 8 pages a day because they film episodes in roughly 8 or 9 days. So like 5 to 8 pages is somewhere between like 5 and 10 minutes a day, more or less, depending on like how much stage direction is in your script. But apparently they spent the entire day doing that. So I'm just going to go through my commentary notes because we kind of went through most of my notes and fun facts as we were talking.
I had some interesting questions,
but it worked. A lot of the stuff, it all kind of worked together.
We're getting good at this. So
something that Ginny said, because the commentary was done by Ginny and Josh, and this one, not that it wasn't good commentary, they had more to talk about in 7:15 a.m. because that was them the entire time. They didn't have as much to talk about in this one, I feel like, as that one, because like they're talking about stuff, but then like they don't have anything to comment on in scenes they're not really involved with. So like, not that there wasn't a lot of downtime, but like other commentaries, there have been times where like you can't hear the episode at all. This one was not necessarily the case there. So something that Ginny talked about when we saw that opening scene with Aurora and all that, she asked about like the geography of these fairy tale characters and like, do they know each other? Because these are all iconic characters. Do they all know each other? And basically what she got from the writers was that like these geographical locations of all the kingdoms, they're like their own separate kingdoms. Like if you were to take like medieval, England, France, Germany, all these different places, they're all nobles of their own kingdoms. They all kind of know each other politically. So like,
well, like you have Midas and then, the other guy and
exactly. So they're all kind of in their own little like kingdoms, but they know of each other. They may have met at some point, but like they're not like besties, which I think honestly would be kind of cool if they were. Just saying.
Well, I mean, Aurora and Mulan can become besties. I would have no problem with that.
Oh, they're definitely gal pals. Absolutely gal pals.
Gal pals. Okay, I like that one.
Gal pals. But they did comment, and I've said this before, and I think I would give them more credit. Something that both of them said was that when it came to now, they're kind of creating these entirely new characters when it comes to the current timeline, because before there's a very clear separation of curse persona and Enchanted Forest, but now now they have all the experience of the curse and they have their memories back. And Josh was kind of saying that it was difficult for them to kind of combine the characters and find kind of an amalgamation of these two different facets because they weren't necessarily expecting this. All of them were kind of under the impression, like I think a lot of the viewers were, that the run of the show was going to be about breaking the curse, not the first season. So they didn't do a whole lot of like character work, homework thing, I think that Ginny called it, to kind of find like this middle ground for these characters. I think they do a phenomenal job. I really do think from the beginning that like David in the David and Mary Margaret now in Storybrooke, I think it feels different.
Yeah.
But Ginny even said that like she kind of found throughout the season that she would kind of use more of like the Snow White characteristics and like with certain characters and lean more into Mary Margaret's emotionalness with others, depending on what the scene required. Kind of finding.
I am enjoying seeing more Snow though.
Yeah, I think she's definitely more Snow forward. And even Josh said he felt he was going very charming forward in the very beginning. It isn't until like 2, 3, and 4 where he kind of finds a better middle ground for it to kind of find. Episode 202 is called We Are Both. They're going to find some kind of middle ground for these characters.
Well, it's interesting because with Charming, it's like he had all this amnesia and like still that odd connection because he was in a coma and like his memories weren't right like everybody else's. So he's still, he gets all those memories back and he's like, oh, I'm this person. I'm this person.
Yeah.
This is who I am. That's why it comes out so strongly. And so like it makes sense for him to kind of be like, wait a minute, I have another side to me. It'll be very interesting to see with the whole male perspective too, because men and women tend to approach that very differently.
Yeah. Well, because he has less memories to pull from when it comes to the Storybrooke side. Like Mary Margaret, while, I mean, how the curse felt day to day being 28 years doesn't necessarily feel like 28 years. It is still 28 years worth of living as this person. He doesn't actually, he's got a few months of experience living as David Nolan. And he has a whole spiel in the next episode where like he talks about like David Nolan and Charming. He's like, I wouldn't give up Charming just to be David. I wouldn't make the other choice either. David Nolan was weak, indecisive, and he hurt the woman I love. Like, I wouldn't give up parts of me to just be him. So
did the personalities with the curse, did that bring out like the more flawed personalities of these characters?
It did. Well, that was something that I think they said in the commentary, was that in the commentary for 7:15 a.m. was that what's missing from the personality, like what's missing from the personalities in Storybrooke, is exactly what they need to get over these strong interpersonal issues. Like in the Enchanted Forest, it's all very upfront, personal, physical. We're gonna kill our enemies, kind of issues. And in Storybrooke, it's a lot more interpersonal, having issues connecting. And the thing from their original personalities that they need to fix that is what's missing.
Joke's on them. Regina gave them free therapy.
And indoor plumbing and penicillin.
Exactly. Did she really curse them? Never mind. She brought them to America. Never mind. Move forward.
She brought them to Maine, though.
At least it's Maine. You are right. It is not Florida. At least it's not Florida.
No. But it was very hot, as in with my next note, because they filmed this in July. And like I said before, Ginny's just shedding layers. She was saying in the commentary she didn't want to keep wearing the coat because it was hot and sunny and they're blinding and they couldn't really see each other. She did write down, oh no, they're about to make us run and I'm in heels. I hated it. Because Josh deliberately slowed down because he's holding on to her hand. He slowed down so he wasn't just dragging her down the street with the rest of like the rest of everybody. But at this point, they knew Emma and Snow are going to be in the Enchanted Forest through episode 9. So they're going to be there for a long time. So she knew she was going to be in the same costume for a long time. Also, like, I mean, obviously they had different pieces.
Dang.
But it's not going to be like 9 weeks. Their time is probably going to be like maybe 2 weeks at most. But they knew they were going to be in the same costume. So after the Main Street scene, after that, she's in the same shoes that just don't have heels, so she's not running on heels anymore. Because she's going to be traipsing through the woods. It's going to be annoying. But she had the coat because it was really cold in the last time. Not so much now. So throughout the episode, she's like shedding layers, like getting rid of her gloves and the coat and everything. And throughout the commentary, she's commenting on like she should have kept the coat because it didn't occur to her. It's hot now. I'm going to be in the same costume. I don't want to be carrying the coat. Oh no, I'm going to be filming in Vancouver at night. It's going to be cold then.
Why didn't I hold on to the coat?
She one point she wrote, "No coat. What a fool."
How hot does it get up? does it get up there?
It can still get pretty hot up there. I mean, I mean, the last time I was in Canada in the summer, it was like 05 or 06, but it was still like 80, 90 degrees.
Oh, that's it?
I mean, for up there, it's hot, but yes.
That's fair. That's fair. Y'all are used to snow. In my defense.
Exactly.
I am from Satan's butthole, where it hits like 100 degrees in July with humidity.
Yeah.
So I apologize for my insensitivity. It's
fine.
Just, it gets hot down here.
So in addition to the talking about Ginny and her, losing layers, they did a lot of the, even though I said before this commentary didn't have a lot of like, it wasn't them talking nonstop. It still gave a lot of stuff that I really like to hear from the commentary, which is like about like the effects and what it was like to film things and everything like that. They did talk about when they're in the scene, when they're in Gold's pawn shop, which actually, I meant to say this before and I forgot. I knew that they built the structure that is Gold's pawn shop. Like they built that for Once Upon a Time. When I knew that it was it was kind of a set, I thought it was just the exterior. Apparently, the front of Gold's shop is in Steveston. The building, like the front of Gold's pawn shop is in that building. The back of it is a soundstage somewhere else in Vancouver. So when they're walking, like for like inside, like they're in Steveston. So like if you see a scene where they go from the front to the back, that's filmed on 2 completely different days.
Oh my god!
But the front of it, that they built that set in Steveston, which I think is amazing. It puts a whole new perspective on some of the scenes that I've seen now. But because they were talking about the VFX, or not the VFX, the practical effects of when the Wraith is coming through. Because I don't know how they went from being outside in broad daylight to in Gold's pawn shop and it's dark now. Still, timing of that is a little off, a little sus. But unless it's just the Wraith making everything dark. But to film it, they basically, and they got to basically watch from inside of the Gold's pawn shop set. They had like these 3 massive fans just throwing all kinds of debris and doing all the sparks and everything. That's all practical. Because they're outside. They're in Steveston. It's not on a soundstage. They can just throw stuff all over the place.
I love practical. It's my favorite.
I think it's so much cooler. Which makes it even funnier that's not practical is Snow White's flamethrower. Very CGI.
It's very Snow.
But, it's very Snow. Apparently what they took out of that scene was apparently her ungraceful attempts to catch said lighter and aerosol can. I guess that was in the script that someone, I guess Emma throws it to her.
Oh, no, not Ginnifer Goodwin.
Not Ginnifer Goodwin. She's not catching that. She is not catching that. But apparently, because the sheriff's station is also a building in Steveston. It's next to a car wash. Apparently they have to pause a lot. Like this is what I was saying before I want to pull this in. We pause a lot on recordings. You'll never know because I cut them all out, but we pause a lot for sound things, people walking through rooms, phones ringing, other things.
I have children.
You have children. People need to drive their trucks apparently up my street at 9 p.m. They have to pause a lot for sound, because especially in the sheriff's station, because it's next to a car wash. They're apparently wearing body mics all the time, which is according to Ginnifer Goodwin not normal, is abnormal. So if they pick up everything, so they pause a lot for cars and airplanes and other stuff, and it's just it's nice to feel kind of connected to them in a way. But also in addition to the fact that they filmed the Wraith scene, that was just one day was just filming. Apparently, like Ginny was coming, she's like she felt bad for Alana because she was basically squatting in heels for like 9 hours the entire day because all she had to do was just squat and try and get the hat to work while they did all those things.
Well, no need for the gym.
No, not after that. Not after being on this show. You don't have to. But I did like they were talking about some of the scenes that got cut out, and like it's very similar to what we saw with Jen Espenson and Robert Carlyle. Like a lot of it works without these scenes because they were talking about, just like Ginny pointed out, like, oh, they cut out this scene because in between before they walk in with the torches in Regina's office, there was a scene with the 2 of them like getting the brooms, talking about the things that they missed from Emma's life, but it comes through in the rest of the season. It really does. So like the scene itself didn't need to be in the final cut, which I think is which is good. So I do have a couple other notes, but what did you rate this episode before we get into my last couple of notes?
It is all 8s across the board.
Nice.
But my reasons being character. I didn't like Philip, and I was very angry at Belle for going back. I actually felt the need to take away character points because Belle pissed me off. Never thought I'd say that before.
Yeah.
The plot was good. Like, it was good plot, but then also, like, Rumpelstiltskin. What the fuck?
Dude.
So, what are you doing? It was very much of, like, all you had to do was behave.
Yeah.
Just not do anything. It's very easy to just not do something. And he still didn't do it, and she still came back, which just tells him he can behave however he wants to.
Pretty much.
And she'll still come back. And I'm like,
you basically figured that out. That's just going to keep happening.
Figured that out.
It's going to keep happening.
Yep. No. Well, which means I'm going to be yelling at my computer screen forever.
I love you.
So, personals 8 because I'm angry with half of the episode.
Yeah.
And
it's fair.
So it's not a bad score. It's still a 24, but I'm just like, I really loved like seeing the dynamics and watching Regina have to deal with consequences and the angry mob. I do want to know who Whale is, though.
You'll find out.
Like, I realize that now, right now.
That line of, who are you, Whale? That's not a throwaway line. That's because they're going to delve into who he is.
How long do I have to wait for that? Because that's interesting.
2:05.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. I don't have to wait that long.
The episode is called The Doctor.
Who is he? Okay, I'm excited. Okay, anyways, so yes, a 24.
That's okay. I think the episode title really telling you that that's the episode where you find out who he is. I honestly think that's enough, personally.
Do I know my fairy tales well enough?
I mean, I know he is a doctor, but don't think fairy tales. Think classic literature. If you guess it, I will tell you.
It's not Frankenstein. It is, isn't it?
It's Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein?
He is Dr. Frankenstein. Sorry, I had to.
No, but Mary Shelley, man. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna fangirl later because
it's
Shelley.
It's a phenomenal. It's a phenomenal episode. We'll get there soon.
Wait, but who's Frankenstein? Because who's Frankenstein's monster?
I'm not telling you that. That I'm not telling you.
Okay. Sorry, I know I messed that up. It is like so many people mix that up.
Yeah, that's fine. That one I'm not telling you because there are in fact multiple answers. I love dropping these things. They're so much fun for me.
Well, it just makes me so more excited for these episodes because I get like an inkling because, like you said, like we've talked before, it's we've always talked about this, how it's so interesting having the seasoned viewer and the new viewer because I'm like, I have no idea what's coming. But me and some classic literature, I need Frankenstein. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I think with him, that's what they open it up to iconic characters of classic literature because it's not really just fairy tales. It's iconic characters of classic literature. So they bring in other people as the show goes on.
Do we ever get Greek other than Midas?
Yes. They do Hercules very badly. I'm sorry. It's one episode.
Oh, no.
It's one episode and it's awful. We'll get there later though. That's season 5.
That's fair, but Hercules of all things?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Man.
I gave this episode, it might surprise you. I gave it a 6 for plot, a 7 for character, and a 9 for personal, giving it a 22. I have my reasons.
What is happening?
I know, right? I mean, character, it loses all those points for Rumpelstiltskin, because, dude, just stop.
I kind of want to slap Belle, too, so I mean, it's both of them.
It's both of them, but the plot thing for me is this is a place where I kind of stop giving the writers grace for plot holes and inconsistencies.
Oh.
When it comes to Aurora's sleeping curse, it completely gets retconned by the time we see it happen. Like, the idea of the sleeping curse is that it needs to be taken willingly. That's kind of the idea. It's implied here that she sacrificed herself for everybody else. It's not what happens. We eventually see it, and that still bothers me to this day, so that it loses a lot of plot points for that. And also, I thought the Wraith was just kind of stupid. So that's where that comes from.
Throw something in there.
Yeah, like they needed some kind of monster that they hadn't shown yet. So that's kind of where that came from.
Why do that when you have Frankenstein?
They didn't do that yet. So
I'm just saying, you have Frankenstein.
We'll get there. But I was saying before about how the princesses aren't necessarily buddy, like they don't know each other yet. But Ginny kind of spent a lot of the time gushing about Aurora and just watching her on screen because she just they had a lot of fun working together. She said they had a lot, all of them did, because this is kind of the beginning of like really more like even more so like powerful women characters like and working together, which is always nice to see. But she jokingly said, because we joke that Ginny, well, no, we joke, we talk about how Ginny is not the most graceful human being on the earth. She when she saw Aurora on the house, she went, they don't let me ride a horse anymore. I didn't get hurt on a horse. I got hurt on the ground by someone on a horse, but if I'd been on a horse, I would have been fine. And they were talking about that. And I assumed they were talking about the scene in 103. Because then in the next bit she talked about because I don't know if I mentioned this in the 103 episode. I don't think I did. When they're filming the scene with her and Charming when she's in the net, when they do the close-ups, they very specifically frame it so like a piece of her eyebrow is kind of hidden by the net because she had a scar from filming that. And apparently Lana and Jen both have scars in that same area, weirdly enough. And she was like, she was concerned that like that's gonna be at the end of her career, it was gonna like mar her face, but she's like, it's just faded. It just looks like the lines in my forehead, which is fine. But when they talk about it, and then they like, which episode was that? And Shinny goes, it was Snowfalls, and then Josh went, literally.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 3, Episode 19, Family Fracas, and Season 3, Episode 20, The Kids Run the Restaurant. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.